news and information source for all New York area sports fans. 3 shows a night, the destination for the latest news on every area team. Sports Night covers the stories that New York sports fans care about. Our reporters and anchors will deliver to you live from Studio 51 at Rockefeller Center West. If it happens in New York, it happens on Sports Night. 6 p.m., 10 p.m., and 1 a.m. every night, only on Sportsnet New York.
Get your New York sports here.
Welcome back to Daily News Live. The book is Bury My Heart at Cooperstown. Frank Russo is the main author on it. He joins us here on Daily News Live, sitting alongside Kevin Burkhardt from WFAN and Bill Madden from the Daily News. Good to see you, Frank. This is an amazing book. I mean, I said when you came in, a little bit depressing because it talks about how all of these major league players ended up dying, whether through natural causes or accidents or all sorts of different things. It really is fascinating. And the one right out of the gate that grabbed my attention was James Phelps, who was in the outfield, caught a ball, and then was bitten by a poisonous snake and died. Take us through that one.
You know, I was surfing through what is called ProQuest, which is an online service where you can look at some of the old newspaper articles from the New York Times. And there was a blurb in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution on this player that he was playing in one of the lower minor leagues, and he went back for a fly ball, and he felt something bite him on the ankle. And he finished the game, and then he died. And the interesting thing about it was that this was not the first time that this happened. Apparently, another player had been bitten before that. So I kind of wondered why they wouldn't at least put a fence in the back or something. You know, I mean, I've heard of strange ballparks, but I mean, a swamp in left field or whatever.
Another strange one, Gus Sandberg, you were telling us about.
Yeah, he's what I would call the all-time dumbest player of all time. He one day was being visited by his former manager. He was living out in Los Angeles playing in the PCL, Pacific Coast League, and apparently I guess they had been imbibing, having a few cold ones. At the end of the night, his manager told him he didn't have enough gas to get back home. So Gus said, sure, I'll siphon some gas out of my car for you. So what happened then, I don't know why he would have done this. He looked in his gas tank of his car, and something right out of a Three Stooges two-reeler. Because he couldn't see, instead of looking at his gas gauge, he lit a match.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Poof, he went up like a Roman candle. I mean, you know, you have to say that.
I'm not laughing at him.
No, I'm not laughing.
The story is amazing. Let's talk about some Yankees, beginning with Billy Martin, and you covered him for so long, Bill. This was a guy who was in and out of trouble. We knew that his love for, you know, going out at night and rabble-rousing, but when he died on Christmas Day, wasn't it?
Christmas night.
Christmas night. A lot of people thought that he might have been intoxicated behind the wheel, but Bill, that wasn't the case. In fact, he was a passenger in
No,
that
he was
car.
the driver.
He was the driver.
No,
what happened was...
I thought he was... Hold on, we have some...
No, he was the passenger. He was the passenger. They actually previewed his death on a television show on HBO called Autopsy, and they found out through the forensic DNA that Billy was actually in the passenger side of the car, of the truck, when it hit, because he hit the right side of the windshield and parts. I don't want to get too graphic.
Let's not get too graphic.
No, but they found his DNA.
And Bill, that's not something that goes against what you knew in the past?
I was always my information was that Bill Reedy, who was the guy he was with, who was his best friend, originally after the accident, Bill Reedy did not know that Billy was dead. He was in the hospital, and Bill Reedy said, I was driving because he was covering for... He later said, I was the driver because I wanted to cover for Billy because I didn't want him to get in trouble with the Yankees and basically lose his job because he was drinking and driving and it caused this accident. And later, Reedy said that wasn't the case. Billy was the driver.
Very interesting. Yeah, there are some inconsistencies, but I did double-check in fact, I called HBO up, and I actually received a copy of the show, Autopsy, and it is the truth that Billy actually was the passenger. And the only thing that really could have prevented his demise was wearing a seatbelt or a harness.
How about Thurman Munson, 1979, beginning of August, went down in that plane crash?
Yeah, to me, that was the hardest bio to write because emotionally I'm very attached to him. He was my favorite ball player. And, you know, reconstructing the accident and how it happened and knowing that if he hadn't bought the jet, he would have been alive today because it was just too much for him. That was a very tough bio for me to write. And people still love him. They still revere him.
Yeah.
And he's still reviled in Red Sox Nation. It's amazing. They still dislike him to this day. He was, I guess, I don't know exactly how to put it into words. He just did something for the fans.
He was a huge part of that Yankee resurgence.
He's still in the middle of it.
Yeah, no question, Bill.
Know?
I think about a week before that happened, Reggie and Nettles took a flight with Thurman, and they both told me years later that they were really concerned about that plane. There was something that was loose in the cockpit that Nettles noticed, and just the way Thurman was flying it. In fact, Reggie told me that it was Reggie. I think it was the same weekend that Thurman offered to fly Reggie back to wherever they were going, and Reggie said, "You know what? I think I'll pass." And they were all very concerned about Thurman in that
In about 45 seconds that we have left here, is there one story that we haven't harped on, and there's about 100 of them in here, is there one that really strikes you that people need to know about?
Well, maybe Snuffy Sternweiss, the second baseman for the Yankees, and he won the 1945 batting title. Beloved by people such as Phil Rizzuto and Jerry Coleman. They still talk about him with reverence to this day. And he died tragically in 1958, right down the turnpike here. He happened to be a passenger on a train, a Jersey Central train, and the conductor had a heart attack. And unfortunately, the train plunged right into the open lift bridge, and unfortunately left 6 children and a wife.
Holy cow.
Yeah, but he's still beloved to this day by members of his teammates that are still left.
Bury My Heart at Cooperstown. Frank Russo wrote it with who?
Gene Race is my co-author.
So you guys were together on it. It really is, and I said this is not the most uplifting book, but in so many ways it is a very interesting read. I mean, you almost can't put it down because you want to see what happened to the next guy.
Well, I appreciate that,
Yeah.
and it does have some humor in it.
No question. Frank, it's good to see you. Best of luck with the book.
Thank you very much.
All right, we've got a final edition of Rush Hour coming up here on Daily News Live when we come back as we get a look out on 6th Avenue. We are back in just a moment.